Mr. Thomas, you're known as the aviation doctor. You've been here before 2 times, I think, in Suriname regarding the
Yes.
aviation company in Suriname, the SLM. I've heard that you have a plan which can bring SLM out of this turmoil they are in. Can you
Right.
tell us a little bit about this plan?
I've been fixing airlines for a long time. I started my career with Boeing. Um, I worked with a lot of airlines, 70 airlines now in 40 plus countries. And I know SLM going back to 1984 when I was there the first time during the bad old days. And Sonny and I, we've been friends for many years, and we've been talking about Suriname Airways and its poor performance. This is an airline that's been around for almost 50 years, and probably about $1 billion have been invested in that airline, yet you have nothing to show for it. It doesn't own any airplanes, and it's not a very big airline, right? With, two Boeing aircraft and a network that really hasn't changed in 40, 50 years. So we we thought the best thing we can do for Suriname is to create a better one. And we have a plan that look, there's a lot of info we don't have because Suriname Airways doesn't give financial statements. They're way behind, which is not acceptable, right? It's the airline is owned by the people of Suriname, and it should all be transparent, right? But anyway, but we have a plan, and we just need to sell it to the government of Suriname, and it's basically to fix the airline as it is and grow it. The airline industry, one of the reasons SLM is in trouble, they never understood that you have to, in aviation, always be growing. Every year, all airlines, they're adding new destinations. So you add a new destinations, eventually you're going to need another airplane. When you get another airplane, oh, we got to hire more pilots and flight attendants and engineers. And, so it's like a circle. And but SLM has not been growing whatsoever. I don't even know when the last brand new destination, maybe Belém way back in the 1990s or something. So it definitely needs to be fixed because aviation is a driver of economic development of all countries. All you have to do is look at places like Singapore, Dubai, Abu Dhabi. It's driven by big, huge airlines now, and especially for a small country like Suriname and relatively isolated, it needs a much bigger airline. And the airline comes in is that it could boost tourism, it could boost exports and imports, and the social contact with other countries around you. I mean, Suriname is one of the 15 members of CARICOM, and yet the CARICOM, and I've worked with a lot of Caribbean, they don't know Suriname whatsoever, and they should be, there should be more connections, with that, because it creates really good jobs, and it's and it can be very profitable. You just have to do it the right way. Unfortunately, the leaders of SLM over the last 50 years never really learned how to make a profit from air transport. But you're not the only one, because right now in the world, it's Africa and Caribbean are the two regions in the world that still don't make a profit in aviation. And that's most of it is because of the political interference, because a lot of those airlines in Africa and even in the Caribbean, they're state owned.
And if we're talking about the plan, I think the main priority for Suriname and for SLM is to expand the airplanes and the company, or not?
Well, yeah, you grow the company. And how do you grow an airline? You have to get new destinations, new markets, right? But to do that, then you probably need another airplane, let's say. So one comes after the other. right now, with two Boeings, you can't be profitable with two Boeing 737s. It just doesn't cover all the fixed costs. You got a lot of people working there. You got a lot of overhead. It just does. You'll never make money that way. You have to get to, I started my career with Boeing as an airline analyst. So I used to do the numbers crunching. You got to get to at least seven, eight airplanes. That's when the what we call economies of scale and scope kick in. And now you could start making money. And once you start making money, the airline is no longer dependent on the taxpayers of Suriname. And it has its own money. And if it feels like it needs to get another airplane, it goes out and gets another airplane. Doesn't have to really, beg the government for more money.
That's what I'm going to talk about now. SLM is now state-owned. It's a state-owned company. It also means that the SLM needs to be privatized, or not?
Yeah, but it could also be it could be a joint venture, so there's different ways of structuring that. But the main thing is Suriname doesn't have the money to grow the airline, and even maybe not enough money to properly fix it. So you need a change there. And that means either if you do a joint venture or a privatization, the government would normally, in this case, would give up a certain percentage. Let's say usually it's a 49%, because the governments always want to keep a majority, so 51%. And the new partner, call it a strategic partner, because that's what you want. A strategic partner, somebody, one, that has money. Number two, that most ideally is also an airline, so they know the business. They have airplanes, I've seen privatization and then they give it to people. There's one going on right now in Pakistan, and they're trying to privatize, but the only people that showed up, because Pakistan International is such a bad airline, were locals in Pakistan that wanted to buy it. That doesn't help us in Pakistan, but in any situation, you want somebody that's in the industry, that's going to help you with airplanes, that's going to help you with destinations, and cash. That's what Suriname right now needs to fix the airline and then grow it. And we have a plan for 2030, a minimum of 10 airplanes. It doesn't seem like a lot, but if you think about it, 10 airplanes, you need 100 pilots. Then you need a bunch of flight attendants. You don't have them in Suriname. So, there's going to be a lot of job opportunities, from engineers to flight attendants to administration and all of that. We want to create the jobs. I presented President Santoki with a 35-page presentation on that about 3-4 years ago. We didn't get any interest in it. But if you think about in 3 and 4 years, that's over $100 million that have gone out the window, and nobody's done anything about it at SLM. We're proposing to make the changes. You got to make changes. Otherwise, it's just going to keep bleeding cash. And Suriname can't afford that. And Suriname needs money for other things.
We've also been working on this plan.
Yes.
If you can ask how Suriname can profit from this plan.
Oh, absolutely. With more jobs, with more direct jobs at an airline company, you usually get 10 times indirect jobs as a result of that. If and that is good for the economy in itself, because all these people then have better jobs. These people pay taxes, and if the company itself expands, there is more flow of currency going on, foreign exchange coming in, and the company pays corporate taxes, but then also the employees that work there pay their taxes. And then overall, the higher paid jobs are in aviation. And so I see the interest of especially the young people here. Not many people think about aviation. They think about jobs at the police force, at the brandweer, the
Fireman.
fireman, or the army. Nothing wrong with that, but the interest in aviation, I know I had it 40 years ago when I was in air traffic control. I mean, it's a very fascinating job. And at that point, I also discovered that 99% of Suriname doesn't know anything about aviation, only us at Sandria Airport, these days, Bengal Airport. And it seems to be the same way right now, So we have to, blossom Suriname Airways. And it's not that we want to take the people's place. We want to cooperate with them, the people who are already working there. We want to help them. That's how Thomas works.
So Thomas, we have a problem now at the SLM. The SLM has been in debt for quite some times, and there you are with this new plan how to expand the company. Realistically speaking, from the side from SLM, is it better that they get themselves out of debt to start with this plan, or how does this work?
That's a problem, having worked on these privatizations and that. Look, if we find a strategic partner, they don't want to take on the debt. Why should they? That debt belongs to the government of Suriname for the poor performance of its airline over the last 20, 30 years, right? So usually they would negotiate that down. Maybe I'm just making it up at this, let's say 25 cents to the dollar, depending on how old that debt is, because some of that debt might be 15 years old, let's say, and the creditors, whoever they may be, are probably eager to get some money out of Suriname. I understand that SLM recently paid one of the creditors $11 million, but we don't know who, and we don't even know who all the creditors are, but they paid $11 million. So they brought the debt down. But as a strategic partner, that's how it's going to work is that, we will, you lower that debt and we will, let's say take 49% of SLM. And this is what we think that 49% is worth. So there'll be because there has to be a new injection of capital, right? I mean, Suriname doesn't have it and SLM surely doesn't have it. So to fix and grow the airline, we need to find capital. Now, we have talked to companies that could be interested, but it starts like this. It's like if you have a broken car and you want to sell it, you're going to fix it up, right? You're going to put new tires on it, maybe, fix it up, nice paint job or something, right? Because as is, nobody would touch SLM. Let's be real. So you got to fix it up a little bit, make it more attractive. But the whole attractiveness of bringing in these foreign investor just for 49, so that still means 51% for the government of Suriname. They're still in control. They got board members and they get 51% of future profit. Now you're going to have an SLM that's going to be profitable. That means 51% of future profits will go to the government of Suriname, right? You're creating a bunch of jobs if it's 10 or 12 airplanes. And that's only possible by having somebody come in with the money and aircraft to push that growth. Like I said, maybe, 2 airplanes a year, for the next 5 years